Being unhinged pays off. Being slightly delusional pays off. Taking risks pays off. What do you have to lose? Because your future just might depend on your next unhinged decision. Please hear me when I say that you cannot wait for opportunities to present themselves to you. The truth is, yes, some people in our lives, maybe they're your friend, they're your family, they're a coworker, some people were given doors and they walked through those doors and that door led them to amazing opportunities and they are successful and good for them. But the truth is, most of us aren't given a door. Most of us are not given a door. We have to literally bang through the wall and build our own door. If there's no window, if there's no door, you go in through the back door, you go in through the chimney, you find your way in. And I have to say that that is what ultimately pays off.
You're listening to POWERFEMME Radio. This is a podcast where ladies come together and try to share their opinions and empower each other to be better women in society.
Did he just say try? You're listening to POWERFEMME, where women don't try, we do. This episode is sponsored by Glow-C, aka my favorite drinkable skincare ritual. Glow-C is packed with collagen, hyaluronic acid, ceramides, and vitamin C to help smooth your skin, support your gut, boost hydration, and keep your glow game strong. It's not like other hydration powders that are basically salt and sugar in disguise. Glow-C has probiotics, and it's literally skincare you can drink. No pills, no complicated routines, just glowing skin on the go. So you can spend less time stressing and more time showing up and chasing your dreams. I drink Glow-C every morning before workouts, after flights, on long shoot days. It's a non-negotiable part of my POWERFEMME routine. And because consistency is everything, I subscribe so it's always stocked and always supporting my glow. Go to getglowc.com/POWERFEMME and use code POWERFEMME to get 15% off your first month subscription. Ready to finally have glowing skin? Subscribe to Glow-C and show up as your most confident self. That's code POWERFEMME for 15% off your first month. One more time for the girls in the back, use code POWERFEMME at checkout. Glow-C is a daily beauty supplement and is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any conditions. Hello, POWERFEMMEs. Welcome back to the POWERFEMME podcast. I'm so glad you're here, and today I want to share with you one of the most unhinged things I have ever done that ultimately led me to having the life and husband that I have today, which is totally crazy. I'm taking it all the way back to 2017, summer of 2017. It has been, how many years ago is that? 8 years ago. So I can't even believe I've been in business now for 8 years. But this was the summer before I realized that it was time for me to start my business. And this is by far the most unhinged and probably one of the best stories that I have in my little repertoire of stories. This was like probably to date one of my proudest moments, and maybe it shouldn't be one of my most proudest moments, but it is, because I can truly say that I have the life I have today because of this one decision that I made. So I'm taking you all the way back to 2017. Heidi is 23 years old. I am broke. So unbelievably broke. Like, I had just moved in with my best friend and we were like seriously not even able to pay our rent. I had to sell a leather jacket to make one of my first month's rent. Like, it was insane how broke I was. I was working in car dealerships. I was doing sales. I was really just like learning sales and like getting into entrepreneurship, but I had not started my own business yet. And more than anything, I just wanted to be an actress. I just wanted to be like Hollywood's next star. And I had a lot going for me. I mean, I was auditioning for amazing shows. I mean, probably more than ever in my life, I was auditioning for movies and TV shows and commercials, and I was booking some things, but it wasn't enough. And we all know that moment, that oh shit moment where you're like, oh no, I'm literally like so broke, like what I like don't even know what I'm gonna do. Like, what am I gonna do? right? And, I was really only working in the car dealerships like on weekends, like 2 or 3 times a month. So it just wasn't enough. And so I was very aware that I needed to have a side hustle. I needed to have something. And so what does young Heidi do? Young Heidi decides that she is going to become a waitress, because that's what all struggling artists do, isn't it? Yeah, that's what they do. I'm so thankful for the restaurant experience and like everything that it taught me, but good Lord, you actually couldn't pay me. You could not pay me to go back and work in a restaurant, because that's one of the hardest jobs ever. And let me just tell you, I wasn't good. I didn't have experience. I wasn't amazing. I mean, I had a good smile and I was very hospitable and cute, but that was just about all I had going for me. And like, first of all, one of the like biggest life hacks ever, or like biggest questions in life, I think that I asked myself when I was in my early 20s is like, how the hell are you supposed to get opportunities when you don't have work experience? Like, that doesn't make sense. And I remember like applying to restaurant after restaurant after restaurant, and literally no one would hire me. No one would hire me to be a waitress. No one was going to give me a chance. All I had was experience as a hostess. And I mean, that's all fine and dandy, but that is just a whole different ball game than being like a waitress or a bartender. And like, let's be honest, me taking like an hourly rate job was not going to help me pay my bills. Like, I knew that if I was going to be able to continue to live on my own and live with my friend and like chase my dreams and live on my terms, I was going to have to make the money so that I didn't have to ask for permission. I remember the day that I finally decided, like, that's it. I'm becoming a waitress. I'm going to lie about the experience I have on my resume. I literally don't even care. Like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And so I got my first waitressing job at a restaurant called True Food Kitchen. God bless. Whenever I go back home to Atlanta, I always make sure to stop into a True Food Kitchen, because I'm like, humble beginnings. This is where it all began for me. So my waitressing career began at True Food, and it was truly founded on lies. And I remember, like, this actually wasn't a simple summer job. This wasn't an easy restaurant to work at. This was like the type of restaurant where people literally had like food allergies and the menu changed, and it was like totally ridiculous and like gluten-free and seasonal. And like, I just remember being like, no, literally, like, someone with celiac could die if they sit at my table, because I don't know like what I'm even talking about. And I mean, that was very clear to the managers. They were like, no, this girl is slow. Like, she literally does not even know what she's doing. In fact, crazy story. My very first customer ever was Shaquille O'Neal. That was my first patron at True Food Kitchen, and I'll never forget it. I was training. He was so nice, God bless him. But they put me with like the best trainer, and he's like showing me how everything is done. And I remember this guy, he was like, you stand here. Like, I have Shaq in my section. Like, you're going to fuck this up for sure. So like, you stay here, and like, I'm going to go handle him. And so I'm like I'm literally like hiding behind this man. And I'm just like watching him approach Shaquille O'Neal and like take care of Shaq. And I'm just sitting there watching, and all of a sudden I see Shaq just like literally, like, he bends over completely sideways and like looks around the man that was training me, and he looks at me and he's like, come here. And I was like, oh my God, Shaquille O'Neal just told me to come to his table. Like, I literally don't even know like what to do. Like, if he asks me for anything, I'm not gonna know like what to give him. And so he looks at me and he says, is today your first day? And I was like, yes, it is, Mr. Shaquille O'Neal. And he was like, okay, I want a matcha horchata. I'll never forget what the man ordered. I was like, matcha horchata, you got it. I don't even know what the fuck that is to this day. I think that's some sort of a sweet matcha drink. I don't know. So I was like, Shaq, you got it. So I turned around, I walked to the bar, and I said, Shaquille O'Neal would like a matcha horchata. So I gave him his matcha horchata. But even still, after serving Shaq, the managers were like, no, you're not experienced. Like, you can't do this. So I very quickly got stuck with the shitty section. And like, anybody who's ever been a waitress, like, you understand what it's like to have the bad section. I was standing on my feet for like 8 hours a day in a shift. I was eating nutrition bars next to dumpsters in the back of the restaurant, because you like didn't get like an eating break. You'd have to eat at the end. The only perks to this job were that like I got a free meal at the end of the day. And let me just tell you, I was working so freaking hard, not knowing what I was doing, outside of my comfort zone, feeling like an idiot, and walking away with like maybe $50 at the end of my shift in tips. Are you freaking kidding me? And I just remember like literally feeling like, what the hell am I doing? And at the time I was like so fixated on my mindset, and I was like, it doesn't matter what, like I'm willing to do whatever it takes. But like this felt a little crazy for like how hard I was working. I'm like, absolutely not, right? I would come home from my shifts barely making, like on a good night, I would make a little less than $100. Like that's insane. On a weekend, Ashlyn would come home. And, you know, just so you know, we were so broke at the time. My roommate, Ashlyn, and I, we moved into the same bedroom because we couldn't cover the rent to pay for the entire apartment. So we put our beds in one bedroom, 6 inches apart. We had to walk sideways to get into our bed. So like we're literally like on top of each other, and I'm coming home from work and she's coming home from work, and she started working at this new restaurant called The Battery in Atlanta, which was like a bar. Like it was like a massive complex of like bars and entertainment outside of the Braves Stadium. She would come home and she's like, I just made $1,200. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like I just made $50. And I'm like exhausted and pissed off and over it. And it was like a new restaurant, and nothing was like in order there. I mean, they literally, it was like new construction. The Braves Stadium was opening, and like Braves season in the South in Atlanta is like a really big deal. It was like all the games were starting, and she was telling me how like it was so chaotic in there. Like there were fans coming and they're buying beers, and this restaurant doesn't have it together. Like they're literally hanging art still, and like they're serving people, but like they shouldn't technically fully be open yet. Like they don't even have the numbers and the buttons and the computers figured out yet. I remember her telling me, yeah, I charged somebody $25 for one beer because our buttons are messed up and people are paying it, and they're tipping 20% on top of that. And I just remember being like, okay, I'm working at the wrong restaurant. Like this is all wrong. Like I'm at this like highfalutin tootin' like allergy seasonal true food kitchen, and like the people are snobs. I'm messing up all the orders. I don't know what I'm doing. And you're slinging beers, making $1,200 a night. Like this is wrong. And so I remember like enough shifts went by where I was like, I'm literally quitting this job and I'm going to come work with you at the Braves Stadium. It's hilarious because Ashlyn had a uniform that was like the typical sports bar uniform. It was like a little red skirt and a deep V-neck like shirt that said sports and social. That was the name of the bar. And she actually had 2 uniforms. And I convinced her to let me borrow her uniform so that I could show up there ready for my shift. And this was really the first unhinged thing I did. Well, technically it was the second because I lied on my resume on the first one. This was the second unhinged thing that I did, okay? I made the decision that I was going to do that. And I was like, I'm going to literally just show up. Like, I don't have time to give somebody a resume. And like, I'm not going to lie about a resume. I'm just going to show up. And so I remember like logging into my portal for True Food and being like, hi, I'm coming in for my last shift today, but I just want you to know that I quit and like this will be my last shift. And so I go do my last shift at True Food Kitchen, and we're doing the lineup by the dumpsters in the back, and everybody's about to go to their seats. And oh my God, I'll never forget it. My manager, I walked in and he just said, hey, come here. He's like, hey, it doesn't really work like that. Like actually you're fired. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, bet, I'm out of here. Got into my car, went home, caught up with Ashlyn before she left for her shift. I begged her to let me borrow her uniform, and I rode with her to the stadium, and I showed up, and I literally was like, I told the manager, I was like, I'm here for my first shift. And he was like, what? But you have to understand this restaurant, it was my first time seeing it. I had never even been there before. This bar was insane. This bar had 7 bars inside of the restaurant. And I had every intention of becoming a bartender at this point because I knew like I was not going to make the money that Ashlyn was making. And I had to make more money. Like literally there was no option. Like I had to make money. And so I show up for my first shift wearing Ashlyn's uniform, and I'll never forget it. I meet Rob. Rob is the manager. He's got tattoos and like buff arms and like a buzz head on the sides, and he's got like his spiky hair on top, and he literally just looks at me and he's like, oh my God. He's like, you work here? Because there were literally like 8 different managers. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. There was a manager for every bar, all these different zones. It was like connected to, what is that restaurant called? It was like connected to this restaurant that had like a bowl that people would ride. I mean, like thousands of people would come in and out of this sports bar. It was connected to the Brave Stadium, and it was like literal chaos. And he looked at me and he's like, you work here? And I was like, yes, but I just like haven't gotten all my stuff situated. I got to get that situated. I thought it was like, oh, I could just show up and start waiting on tables and everything would be fine. No, you needed like an employee number. You needed to like be caught up in the system. So he has me fill out some paperwork, and he literally puts me in a section and he's like, go. And so I think he knew, like part of me feels like he knew that I was crazy. But part of me feels like he loved it. And so he gave me the job. So before you knew it, I was put with a server named Landy. God bless Landy. I wonder what she's doing now. And Landy was amazing. She was like, do you know what we're going to do tonight? And I was like, what are we going to do? Like, you're going to show me the sections. Like, I don't know, like what you're going to show me what's up. She's like, we're going to hustle. And this girl would like hustle these tables, hustle. When I say hustle, I mean, she was flirting with people. She was like ordering extra beers to their table. It was crazy. Okay. And I just remember being like, holy cow, like this is crazy. And she even told me, she was like, I'm going to become a bartender because the bartenders make more money than the cocktail servers. And I was like, oh, I want to become a bartender. Anyways, I do my first shift. It goes great. I make some money. I feel so proud of myself. And like Ashlyn and I go home that night and we're like, we cannot believe that this worked. Like, I can't believe you just showed up, told them you worked there, and got right on the floor. It didn't take very long for me to look around and see how chaotic things were at this restaurant and this establishment. And I knew that it wouldn't be this way for long. And I knew that actually this was my moment. If I was going to hustle my way, it was going to be here at this restaurant, and I had to do it quickly. This episode is sponsored by Dolce Do, my favorite luxury skincare line and the secret behind my glow up. I've been using Dolce Do religiously for over a year, and the results are undeniable. My friends constantly ask what I've done to my skin because it has been a full transformation. If you struggle with dryness or early signs of aging like I did, then this is your sign. I am obsessed with the Dolce Blue makeup remover. It melts literally everything off, and it leaves your skin feeling baby soft. The glass skin pads give you an instant smooth, dewy glow. And the Be Still Peptide Serum is literally Botox in a bottle. Dolce Do is your answer to glass skin, deep hydration, and firm, radiant glow. No needles, no injections, just skincare that actually works. It's skincare that feels like self-love, and it delivers. POWERFEMME listeners get 15% off your entire order with code POWERFEMME at checkout. Go to dolcedo.com and use code POWERFEMME and treat your skin the way it deserves to be treated. Code POWERFEMME gets you 15% off of your full Dolce Do order. You have to understand that right when I got this job as a cocktail server, I was so determined to become a bartender. Like, it wasn't even funny. And here's the thing that people don't tell you. If you think like being an actor or an entrepreneur is hard, there are just as many struggling artists, like as many actors as there are that many, if not more, people who want to be a bartender. Like, there is a long line of people who want to tend bar because the money is good. You can get by on tips. The hours aren't that bad. You work nights, you're flexible. And like, it's not the most ideal job. It's not the most glamorous job. You find that out very quickly, but it's probably one of the best jobs that you can have when you are somebody who is in school or is chasing your dreams and like you need that kind of flexibility. I personally feel like everybody should have an era where they work in a restaurant, but bartending taught me a lot. And I can't wait to tell you guys how I got into the bartending, because this is absolutely fucking nuts. Shift after shift, we would come home, and yeah, I was making like pretty good money, a couple $100s per shift. And I was like, this is good, but this is still not good enough. You know what I mean? And like Ashlyn's bringing in thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And I was just like, I'm like not there yet. And so I remember being like, Ashlyn, can you teach me how to bartend? And even she was like, no. Like, I can't teach you how to bartend because it's super competitive and there are so many people. Like, she would have to even fight for her shifts, okay? And I don't know, she wasn't open to teaching me how to bartend for whatever reason, but that's fine. So I went straight to the management and I said, hey, I want to learn how to bartend. And Rob, like, he immediately saw my hustle and he was like, maybe you can be a bartender. Little did I know there was a whole line of people who wanted to be a bartender too, for the same reasons that I wanted it. We were trying to make some money. And so I, like, shift after shift after shift, I would message him and he'd say, maybe. And so I thought, I'm like, well, maybe if I get my bartending certification, he'll take me seriously. Okay, let me just save you the trouble. If you're thinking about getting your bartending certification, don't. Save your money. This is the most embarrassing thing you can do for yourself. I brought my bartending certification to Rob and I said, look, I'm certified and I want to bartend. He literally laughed in my face and hung it up. He framed my certification and put it on the wall in his office just to make me feel like a complete idiot, which I did. That was by far like one of the most humiliating things. And so I finally begged him to take it down, but he wasn't the only manager. And I was very aware that this man had a lot of responsibilities on his plate. And I was like, him making me a bartender was like the least of his priorities. And so I learned very quickly that if I was going to get what I wanted, I was going to have to give it to myself. I couldn't wait. I couldn't be somebody who was going to wait for somebody to give me permission. I literally had to make it happen on my own. There was a whole line of people that like I should supposedly get in line with. And I was like not about to do that. I was not about to follow the rules. I was not about to wait my turn. Like we did not have time for that. This was very much my manifestation era where I was like unstoppable and really working on my mindset during the day. And I was meditating. And at the time I was reading a book on manifestation, and it was called Wayne Dyer's Wishes Fulfilled. And he talks a lot about visualizing and feeling into the reality that you want to create. And I, every single day, could see myself behind the bar. I could feel myself picking up the sticky bottles and pouring shots for people. I could feel the cash that people were going to tip me. I could literally feel it. I could taste it. I could smell it. I could see it. It was going to be mine. And it was in the middle of a meditation. Shout out meditations. You get your best ideas in silence. It was in the middle of a meditation that I got my best idea ever. This very quickly became unhinged thing number 3 that I did. And it was easily the most unhinged decision I have ever made in my entire life to this day. And the rewards were unreal. Okay. Now, you may hate me for this. You may listen to this and think, Heidi, you're a liar. Heidi, I can't believe you did that. How dare you? You cheated. And maybe you think that. But my hope is that what you will find in this and what I'm about to tell you is that you really truly have to take your success into your own hands and you have to create your own opportunities. And if you think somebody's going to give you what you want, you better think again. Okay? Sitting in the middle of my meditation, it hit me. I was only working like 4 days a week. So there were 3 days a week that the bars were open. And I could go in there and I could learn. Now, first, this started out as I'm just going to go sit by the bar and watch and see if I can't like just learn. And so I did that once and I was like, this is literally so easy. It's like people just need to see me there. Like I just need to create the perception that I'm here enough. Okay. There was so much going on in this place. The managers literally didn't even know who the other managers were. I mean, there were so many new people. This place was hiring so quickly, more people every single day. So I decided that I was going to show up on my off days in my uniform and I was going to just I told the bartenders that they were training me. So I'll never forget it. I put on my uniform, not knowing if this is going to work. Drive to work. I park my car. I walk into the restaurant and I walk right up to the bar right there in front of me. It wasn't too busy. It was a weekday. And I literally said to this woman, Amanda, God bless her. I mean, this woman was a professional bartender. She was Southern. She had big old boobies. And she was like, she'd been a bartender for like 20 something years. And her name was Amanda. And she had an attitude. And she was like, no bullshit from anyone. And I just looked at her and I said, hey, Amanda. She hated me, by the way. Hey, Amanda. And everybody, like when you work in a restaurant and you're new, like people just fucking hate you. And so I was like, hey, Amanda, I'm actually here to train with you today. You're training me on how to bartend. And she literally goes, what? Oh my God, Rob did not tell me that I was training anyone on bar today. I don't even have my binder. And I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious. She's like, I don't even have my binder. Like, how am I supposed to teach you anything? Like, what am I going to do? Come on, sweetie, get back here. I got to teach you this. I got to teach you that. And she literally just starts teaching me everything. And then I remember, he was like the director of operations. Like this guy, he was like so high up at the Battery. Like he oversaw like so many of the restaurants and he was there. His name was Ben. And he saw me behind the bar and he said, oh, Heidi, you're bartending now. And I said, yeah, I'm training. Now, listen, you may be thinking, Heidi, you lied. But I didn't technically lie. I actually went above and beyond. That's how I'm choosing to see this. I went above and beyond. I showed up on my off day in my uniform, willing to work. Sorry, like I did. And so he says, Heidi, oh, you're training to be a bartender. And I said, yeah, I was training to be a bartender. And so anyways, that was successful. He didn't say anything to me. He wasn't like, you're not on the schedule. Like none of that happened because this man didn't know what was going on. He was focused on so many other things. And so I did this again and again and again. I did this about 4 or 5 times, just enough times that every single manager saw me behind the bar. People started seeing me behind the bar. Other waitresses. And I remember waitresses coming up to me being like, oh, you got promoted to bartender? And I was like, not yet, I'm training. And they're like, oh, I want to do that. And I'm like, yeah, girl, you should. You really should. Work hard, show up. Like you'll get promoted quickly. I'm like, I am literally just bullshitting my way like you would not even believe. And the whole time, like somebody could have fired me. At any point, somebody could have been like, you are so fired. And nobody did, which was amazing. I showed up on my off day for another, like what I thought would be like another training session. And it was while I was there that one of the managers that I had only met like maybe once or twice, and we had a very polite exchange. She was super nice, amazing woman. I can't remember her name for the life of me. She walked up to me while I was behind the bar and she said, hey, I need one of you on bar 3 tonight. Can you do it? And I said, yes, ma'am, I can. Now, mind you have to have like a specific login code when you work in a restaurant. So like when you check in, it's like 54321. Like that's your code when you clock in and it says waitress. And I was not promoted to bartender by management. So like I didn't have a new login that said bartender because they're paid different rates because they're tipped more versus hourly. And so this woman is like trying to log me into my shift. She's like, why isn't this working? And I'm like, I don't know why it's not working. So anyways, she like goes through the trouble, goes upstairs, goes up to the office, creates a whole new login for me because I'm the only bartender who's there. And that was how I became someone who could be scheduled as a bartender for this restaurant. Now, I have to tell you, this could have upset so many people. So I was like, I'm taking this to the grave. Nobody's going to know. Ashlyn knew because I was still borrowing her uniform. And so I remember showing up to my very first shift as a bartender. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to make so much freaking money today. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great. I get put on bar 3 and I am put with a barback. And this barback's name was Josh McMahon, who maybe you don't know this, but Josh McMahon is now my husband, you guys. This is literally my husband, which is so crazy to say 8 years later. I can't believe it. Listen, before I even got promoted to bartender, I was just the cocktail waitress, and Josh was like a bar back. So he was like running around the restaurant all the time. He's like fixing kegs for people and like just picking up broken glass and like that type of thing. He wasn't a bartender. And so he would get to like work on different bars, and I would be cut super early because I was like a waitress and not a bartender. The bartenders would stay till like 2 a.m., whatever. And so just to like kind of take it back a little bit, you guys, like this is where the tea is. I got cut early. This is before I became the bartender. I got cut early. And I was going to like just go home and like chill, because I remember literally thinking to myself after an 8-hour shift as a waitress, like this is precisely why people have spouses and boyfriends and girlfriends, because you need someone at home to literally massage you after a long day of standing at work. And I was done. And so I got cut early and I was so excited, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go see a movie tonight. Like I'm going to go do me. I feel good. I'm glad I'm cut tonight. And Josh, actually, like we had never even spoken to each other. Like we had just like kind of locked eyes type of thing. Actually, it's so crazy. Like one of my very first shifts, I was like, we were slammed. You have to understand, we were slammed. Like so many people would come in and watch on the big screens, like these sports and everything. And like I would have a tray with all these beers and I'm serving all these men. And I remember like you have to clear your table. The quicker you clear a table as a waitress, like the quicker you can seat more people, you flip the table, you make more money. The place was such a mess that like I remember all my tables were a freaking wreck. Like we were getting our asses kicked as a restaurant. There were glasses all over my table, beer everywhere. And I remember like just stacking up all my glasses like into a long stack. And I carried it over to the bar and I was like, hey, like what do I do with these glasses? Like I literally don't even know where these things freaking go. And then Josh, this total hunk, pops up from behind the bar, wipes the sweat off of his face, like takes his shirt and like wipes the sweat off of his face. And all I see are like these 6-pack abs. And he's just getting his ass kicked behind the bar, like fixing everybody's taps and just trying to make sure that like we can keep serving people alcohol. And he looks at me and he's like, oh my God, I love you. These are his first words to me, you guys. Chaos in the bar. And we just lock eyes and he's like, oh my God, I love you. And I'm just like, oh my God, I love you. Okay, this one's big. We used to host the Create Your Offer workshop live once a month, and every single time women walked away with clarity, confidence, and money in their pocket. But now we've taken the best parts and turned it into a free Create Your Offer mini course just for you. This is the exact framework that has helped women like Chelsea and Desiree close $5,000 in sales just days after going through the Create Your Offer workshop. Inside, you're going to take the first step towards making your first $30K in business without burning out, overthinking, or doing work that doesn't light you up. If you've been sitting on an idea, unsure of what to offer, or struggling to make money doing what you actually love, this is your next move. Click the link in the show notes to get instant access to the Create Your Offer mini course, free for a limited time. This is your first step to building a business you're obsessed with and making real money doing what you love. People are ready to pay you for your genius. Click the link and access the free mini course now. We just lock eyes and he's like, oh my God, I love you. And I'm just like, oh my God, I love you. Like I didn't say that, but I was like, holy shit, you're hot. And I had all these glasses and I'm like, why is he telling me he loves me? He's like, we're out of glasses. Like, give me those. And like, he takes the glasses from me and I was like, holy shit, he's so hot. Anyways, move on. Fast forward, a couple weeks go by and I was like checking out early and I was not the bartender yet. I hadn't even like started showing up as a bartender. Like I wasn't even faking it yet. I was just trying to be a cocktail server. And I was clocking out early and he saw me and he was like, where are you going? And I was like, oh, I got cut early. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm going to be here till like 2 a.m. And he's like, well, what are you going to go do tonight? And I was like, I'm probably going to go see Guardians of the Galaxy. And he was like, by yourself? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, why don't you wait until tomorrow and I'll take you? And I was like, oh my God, this guy's so hot. Like, yes, like I would love to go on a date with this guy. Like, oh my God, you know? And anyway, so he's like, here, give me your number. He like pulls his phone out. I give him my phone number. And next day comes. You guys, this man does not text me. I was like, what the fuck? This guy like is playing me. Okay. Now, again, it's summer. I'm 23. I'm cute. I'm single. I'm off. I'm not working. It's brave season. You best believe I was going to have plans. Okay. I was going to go out. And so I remember like kind of waiting all day, and he just like did not text me. And I was like, screw that. I'm literally going to go on a date with somebody else. So I went on a date with somebody else. We had a time, whatever. He was whatever. I literally dated this guy for like 3 weeks after that. A couple weeks go by and Josh and I see each other and we say nothing at work. Like we say nothing. We work different schedules. We don't really see each other. He's behind the bar a lot. I'm like on the floor. Okay. Fast forward to my first bartending shift. The manager puts me behind bar 3. And she says, you're going to be working with Josh McMahon. To which I was very excited about, but also a little bit like, fuck you, dude. Like, fuck you, you know? And like, you stood me up kind of a vibe. And so anyways, we are put on the same bar together. And when I tell you, I was so over the guy that I like went on a couple of dates with. He was such an idiot. And I was like, this guy's a loser. I was so turned on by this man, Josh. We are working on this bar. And first of all, within the first 10 seconds, I get my first customer and they ask me for a beer, and I do not know how to pour a freaking beer. I literally called him over because all that was coming out of the tap was foam. Like there was no beer coming. It was just foam, 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 foam. He literally, I'm like, I've got the tap. I'm holding the cup and it's just foam filling the cup. And he's like, Heidi, it's not broken. You just have to turn the cup. Like literally you tilt the cup. It's all about how you pour it, and then it comes out as beer. There's no foam. So anyways, he corrects me within my first 2 seconds of having a patron. He's like, it's not broken. You just have to hold it like that. I was like, oh, okay. Anyways, we go on to have the best shift ever. We're flirting. He's like coming over and checking on me. I'm breaking glasses like left and right. Oops, oops, oops. I'm breaking shit on purpose so that he'll come and like clean it up. So we go on, we have like the best shift ever. So much fun. I think it was actually like, it was like a superhero party. It was like a private party that I was bartending that had like rented out bar 3. And so I'm like wearing a Superman or like a Batman mask, and he's got a mask on. And it was like, we were cute. We were hot. We were young. We were flirting. We were thriving. We're making money. It was so fun. And we had a great shift. Then after that one shift, everyone saw me as a bartender. They saw that I was standing behind the bar, and they started thinking, oh, I'll schedule Heidi for this bar. So I started getting more and more shifts. I started making so much freaking money. There was a fight night that I had made like over $1,000. And I was like, oh my God, I did it. And nobody knows this secret of mine. All of this is to say, one night, the Braves were not playing. And so the restaurant was going to be like dead or closed, or all the bartenders were off for some reason. Like we just weren't working that night because the Braves were out of town. And all the bartenders are together, and we're all like, hey, let's all go out in Buckhead tonight, which is like a town in Atlanta. And it's like kind of the city, and like there's bars, and you bar hop, and it's so fun. And one of the bartenders says like, hey, like let's all go to like Red Door, or like I'm bartending at Red Door. Like you guys should all come, and like I'll take care of you. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. Everyone, like, let's go do that. And we can like pregame at my house. And then Josh is standing right there, and he's like, we've been flirting for weeks now. And he's like, oh yeah, I would love to come. And I literally look at him and I said, you're not invited. And he goes, what do you mean I'm not invited? And I was like, you stood me up. And he's like, I didn't stand you up. You stood me up. And I'm like, no, you stood me up. So like, guys, weeks have gone by. We were building all this chemistry. We never say anything about the fact that he asked me for my fucking number and didn't text me. Turns out he pulls out his phone and he says, I texted you, you didn't text me. And he like shows me the text messages. It says like, hey, I can't wait to see you tomorrow. And then the next day it's like, hey, looking forward to tonight. Middle of the day, hey, are we still on? End of the, like around the evening time, like, are you around? Like, what's up? He triple texted me and I never texted him back. Turns out I accidentally gave him the wrong fucking phone number. Okay. All right. Once I figured that out, I was like, oh my God, I accidentally gave you the wrong phone number, which was like very telling of what our relationship would be moving forward. He should have known. But he was like, okay, that's crazy. Like, let's all hang out. And from that night on, Josh immediately became my boyfriend. We went out. It was so fun. We had a great time. And that night I let him in on my little secret that I had faked my way into becoming a bartender. Now, he could not believe that I did this. Like, it was crazy to him. And we actually had a staff meeting on like the next day because it was Sunday. And basically the staff meeting was with all the managers to talk about how opening the restaurant had gone and like go over numbers and make sure everybody's following rules and compliance and da 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 da. So Josh and I pull up to this like staff meeting together, hungover, I'm sure. And we walk in to the restaurant and like we're all seated, like everybody's around the bar. There's like 100 people there. Okay. And the guy, Ben, the director of operations, Ben, he starts talking about how everyone needs to step it up. And he says, there is someone here who has really stepped up, who has taken things into their own hands, who has been not completely honest. And I want to talk about it. I don't know how. I have no idea how. I think maybe, honestly, like my roommate told her friend, and then her friend told Ben. I don't know. I think they might have had a thing. This is how restaurants go. They're so incestuous. And anyways, somehow Ben finds out that I faked my way into becoming a bartender. So he like goes on and on with his big intro. And then he says, Heidi, stand up. He makes me stand on a table in front of like 100-something people. And everyone is looking at me and they're like, he's like, this is what she did. She came in on her days off. She fooled us all. We all believed her. And I just want to say, I fucking love it. He loved it. My boss loved it. I could have easily been fired. I could have been so many things. He loved it. He said that it was entrepreneurial and he was so proud. He was like, never in my years of working in a restaurant have I ever heard a story like this. Everybody, please give Heidi a round of applause. Some people clapped. Some people did not clap. Oh my God. When I tell you, people walked up to me after that and they were like, I've been waiting to be a bartender for 6 months. Like, how dare you? I had to definitely deal with some of that. But the thing that I want you guys to walk away with from this story is that, yeah, it's going to upset people when you create your own success. It's going to upset people when they feel like it wasn't fair. But what I have to tell you is that life is not fair. And nobody's going to give you the opportunity. You truly do have to create your own opportunities. Yes, it was unhinged. Yes, it was absolutely psychotic. Yes, I could have lost my job. Yes, it was a little bit crazy. Yeah, it was selfish. But this one decision changed my entire life. Not only was I able to pay my bills, not only was I able to have a roof over my head, not only did I learn a new skill, not only did I have fun at my job. You guys, I met my husband. Like, who's to say that if I had stayed as a cocktail waitress and hadn't put myself behind the bar, if Josh and I ever would have really even jived or gotten to know each other? Like, maybe not. Who knows? My hope is that you'll hear this story and not only will you laugh, but you will see that it's entirely up to you to create your own success. Being unhinged pays off. Being slightly delusional pays off. Taking risks pays off. What do you have to lose? Okay? Because your future just might depend on your next unhinged decision. Please hear me when I say that you cannot wait for opportunities to present themselves to you. Everything I have in my life, I went out and got it. And the truth is, yes, some people in our lives, maybe they're your friend, they're your family, they're a coworker. Some people were given doors and they walked through those doors and that door led them to amazing opportunities and they are successful and good for them. But the truth is, most of us aren't given a door. Most of us are not given a door. We have to literally bang through the wall and build our own door. We got to climb in through the window. We got to climb in through the chimney. And that's something my mom really instilled in me at a very young age. She said, Heidi, if there's no window, if there's no door, you go in through the back door, you go in through the chimney, you find your way in. And I have to say that is what ultimately pays off. So my question to you is, what door do you need to walk through? Okay. I didn't wait for somebody to tell me, Heidi, you can start a business now. I didn't wait for somebody to say, Heidi, you can be a bartender now. I haven't waited for anybody to do anything. And the truth is that no one's coming to knock on your door to save you. No one's going to come knock on your door and be like, hey, do you feel qualified today? Because by the way, I got the fucking certification for bartending and that wasn't even enough, right? I asked and asked and asked and nobody gave it to me and nobody was going to come give it to me either. I had to take it. So all of this is to say your success, it is in your hands, you and God. Okay. Do not worry about the bridges you haven't crossed yet. Yes, there will be rejection. Yes, it will be scary. Yes, you might have to really stretch yourself and put yourself in uncomfortable positions and be new at something. Yeah, you might have to fake it until you make it a little bit. But you would be surprised at just how far you can get when you don't let your mind be the thing that makes an excuse for you, or you don't rationalize why you're not doing something. If you can just be completely unhinged and just totally go for it, I promise you it's going to pay off. You just might find your husband, okay? So Power Femmes, I love you guys so much. What a crazy story. And I loved reliving that moment, that era with you all. And if you love stories like this, girl, I am so full of so many stories. And if you need help, like figuring out what your side hustle is, I just want to say, like, there's totally a way for you to not have to do all that. Like, you don't have to work in a restaurant to be successful or to make money. If you want to make money on your own terms and in a way that feels fun and that is in your zone of genius and that is like maybe a skill that you have, I cannot recommend enough checking out the Create Your Offer workshop that we have. This is one of the best ways for you to monetize your skill set so that you can create freedom for yourself and really create your dream life and your dream business on your own terms. No more asking for permission, okay? No more wishing and waiting and wanting. It's all about doing. Times are crazy right now, and it feels like everyone I'm talking to is trying to think about their next move or trying to start their side hustle because the world is a little bit cray-cray right now, okay? And so whoever needed to hear this, like, I just need you to know there's no shame in getting a side hustle. There's no shame in getting a job, and there's no shame in being completely unhinged and going for it. Because the truth is, most people really won't even care or have an opinion. And guess what? Their opinion doesn't matter. So I love you, Power Femme. I hope you go for it today. Just know that the only thing that's in your way is you, and it's your mind, and you can go so much further than you think. So I'm pulling for you, babe. And I hope you have a great day. If you loved this episode, please leave us a 5-star review. Leave me a comment knowing what you loved about this episode, and share it with your friends. Share it on social media, because that's how this podcast continues to grow. I'm so honored to have 101 episodes with you. Thank you for spending your time with me today, and I will see you in the next episode.